Hello and welcome back to another lazy lesson. Guys, we have a new initiative in the market which is being seen as a competitor to China's Belt and Road Initiative. Yes, it is called as the Blue Dot Network led by the United States of America. So in today's discussion, we shall understand more about the Blue Dot Network, its objectives, significance, and let us compare it with the Belt Road Initiative of China. We shall also have a look at its implications for India. The launch of this initiative was announced by the US on November 4th, 2019 at the Indo-Pacific Business Forum, which was held in Bangkok. Now the US has been joined by Australia and Japan on board. The basic aim of this initiative is to bring governments, private sectors and civil societies for promoting high quality global infrastructure development in an open and inclusive framework. Essentially, this means this initiative is a rating mechanism, not a funding mechanism. This is a citizen-centric initiative and works like an awareness campaign. How? It is very simple. This network surveys the infrastructure projects across the world and studies the feasibility of these projects. And based on these studies, the report gives outputs on various things such as feasibility, returns on investments, labor cost, cost-benefit ratio, etc. And based on this data, the private investors can make an informed decision about their investments on these projects. It is very much easier for the investors to make informed decisions because the network will classify the market-driven infrastructure projects which will be based on the transparency and financial sustainability. Let us understand this with the help of an example. Imagine there are three countries A, B and C, and each of these countries has got a project for which investment is needed. So what they do is they invite investors to invest in their projects. But in the absence of any studies on their investments or the feasibility of these projects, the investors would be really worried. And here this problem is solved by the Blue Dot Network. Now this network comes into picture and conducts feasibility studies on all these three projects. And based on these studies, the network rates these projects based on their feasibility. For example, the project in country A would get a 5-star rating, meaning it is very profitable. Similarly, the project in country C would get a 2-star rating, meaning it is not so profitable. Now, the investors will have the idea about where to invest and how much to invest. This is beneficial for both the investor as well as the recipient country. For the investor, he or she will know how much to invest and how much to expect in return. And the recipient country knows its limitations here and thus helps itself from falling into a debt trap. But here, why should the China be worried about this initiative? See, for long China has been funding various projects in countries across Asia and Africa in the name of infrastructure development. Here, various countries across Africa and Asia are in need of funds for infrastructure development projects. But given the low credit performance of these countries, they hardly get any loan from big institutions like World Bank or Asian Development Bank. In such a scenario, China steps in and offers to develop huge infrastructure projects. So what it is doing is, it is not just providing funds. Along with funds, it is also providing labor, technology and all the available materials in developing these projects. But these recipient countries hardly notice that with this unsustainable debt, they are increasing their dependency on China. And before realizing this, they fall into debt trap, unable to pay the interest or even the principal amount. And this makes these countries to offer on lease these lands on which these projects are being built to China for years. Today, in many vulnerable countries, much of the burdensome debt is owed to a single source, that is China. Here, according to a study by the International Monetary Fund, from 2013 to 2016, China's contribution to the public debt of heavily indebted poor countries nearly doubled from 6.2% to 11.6% in 2016. And this lending is expanding even more rapidly with the Belt and Road Initiative. This is sometimes known as predatory lending. Sri Lanka's situation is the best example for this. Here, unable to repay China for a loan used to build a new port in the city of Hambantota, in 2017, Sri Lanka signed over to China a 99-year lease for its use potentially as a strategic base for China's navy. This is exactly where the need for the Blue Dot Network arises. Based on the rating it has given, the citizens of that particular country are really aware about the feasibility of that project. And hence, any amount of funds beyond its capability is opposed. Thus, saving the country and the project from falling into a debt trap. There is one concern with this network here. Here, the Blue Dot network is said to be a global network. But how can it be a global network when these guidelines are developed only by 3 countries, that is US, Japan and Australia? Yes, to address this concern, other countries such as India should be taken on board. But there is another worry here. Bringing on board countries such as India would delay the process of bringing out these guidelines. That's it for today. Thank you.